Hey everyone, Joy Brooks with Email and Coffee. I'm doing this email marketing ESP series, and I've been talking with marketers and subject matter experts in the niche. Today I'm speaking with Peter, and we're going to be discussing the pros and cons of his ESP. So, Peter, tell us a little about yourself and what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay. So I'm Peter Reginella. I am a former award-winning licensed mechanic turned email marketer and copywriter. I predominantly help health coaches and financial coaches with their email marketing, including consultants and some course creators too. And yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
So, geez. I'd rather talk about what you used to do. No, I'm only kidding.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm not kidding. So, award-winning. That's a nice, that's nice to have after your name. What ESP are you using, and what would you like to say about it as we get a little deeper into the weeds?
Okay, so I use what's called Berserker Mail. If anybody's familiar with Ben Settle, it is the ESP that he produced with his business partner. And the whole reason I use it is because it's just the easiest ESP to use. I'm a busy single dad who does a fair amount of client work and just busy overall. So the last thing I want when I'm writing emails and managing my own email list is to go through many clicks just to accomplish what feels like nothing. So the ESP I use makes it plain and simple. I usually pre-rate most of my emails in a Google Doc, usually on the Sunday of that week. And when I log into that ESP, it logs into the email sending screen immediately. I simply hit copy paste. It tells me in the bottom right hand corner where my link goes. So it'll tell me if it's a broken link and what the preview of it is. And then when I hit send, it gives a 15-second delay for me to just make sure everything's good. And then it sends it. So in less than 2 clicks, I've sent an email, got a preview of what it looked like, if the link is broken. And even if I forgot a link like a dummy, it'll yell at me and tell me, hey, are you sure you want to send this? There's a missing link.
Simplicity is
yes.
Nothing to shake a stick at. Or your finger. You really can't be scolded by someone who says, oh, your tool is too simplistic. Because in many cases, that's what's holding people back.
Yeah, from scaling.
The process can be, if you're a small business or if you're a solopreneur and you're sending email, the process itself can be like, what am I going to write? Now I have to write it. I need to get images. Where am I going to? What's my goal? And it can, it can set you off until I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
And you never get to doing it.
Yeah.
And so here we have you called it Berserker?
Berserker, yeah. Like if you're familiar, pardon me?
Like the Vikings.
Yeah, exactly. Like medieval times, Dungeons and Dragons kind of stuff. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, there you go. So we're just going to go through a few questions. Hopefully you'll be able to give us an idea of the scale, the scope of the product. So what you sort of mentioned what made you choose it, but has that decision, you mentioned you chose it because it's, you gave a little bit of a breakdown of a friend, whatever. But, you chose it. Is that decision still holding up?
Yeah, I love using it. It is easy to do. The only thing I would say I don't like about it is that it's text only. So, yeah. So the idea behind their claims for that product, that email software, is that they provide some of the best email deliverability out of all the ESPs, which is correct. Like I've never had an issue with my emails going to spam or getting sent straight to the promo tab when I first started my list, like a lot of people have to deal with. But because I use a lot of story-based content in my emails, what I used to do with previous ESP I used to use was I used to use a lot of GIFs and a lot of memes just to kind of like go along with the jokes that I'm saying. And I can no longer do that. So now what I have to use is like emojis and just use a little bit more picturesque language, if you will, right? A little bit more word painting. So like it forces you to be a better writer, but sometimes I feel like I would just rather copy paste a GIF.
It's interesting. The concept of text and the benefit of sending text email is
Yeah.
is interesting. And in many cases, people, well, there's a trend in any case, but in many cases, people might actually prefer that.
Yeah. That's fair.
Right? Now you don't have to worry about, getting an image and making it pretty, putting the right words in it. It's more or less, you can focus on the meat, get rid of the potatoes.
Yeah.
So can you walk me through a specific campaign or automation where it would have been otherwise difficult without your ESP?
Okay. I would say there's two cases. There is their automation screen when you build out what they call a campaign, which is like what another ESP would call a sequence or a flow. It's all the same thing, but on there they call it a campaign. So like, for example, your welcome sequence, you would build it in what's called their campaign screen. I could set up the tagging, the emails, the scheduling, and everything all on the same screen without having to set up different triggers or anything. So after I build out a landing page, it'll give me the tag for that specific landing page. And then when somebody opts in from that, I could set up all the tags in the campaign screen without having to set like an if then sequence or anything like that. It's all done right then and there. And then also, because when I do my promotions to my own email list, I do tend to be a little bit more aggressive towards the end of the campaign or the end of the promotion. Like I mentioned earlier, like I'll send as many as like 5 to 7 emails on the last day. You don't want to send that to everybody on your list, right? You only want to send that to your most engaged subscribers. So to set up a 7-day engagers tag, a 30-day, 60 and 90, I could do in under a few minutes and set it up so that only my most engaged people are getting my emails, and I can send as much as 7 emails in a single day, and my open rates are still above 40% on every email, which is important, especially for deliverability reasons.
So it's a very interesting take on tagging, what it's doing, what that system is doing with tags.
Yeah.
Which is all interesting because in many cases people buy into a product that has a bell or a whistle that they sort of apply to other, like their previous ESP, and that's not necessarily the best way of using that particular bell or whistle.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that this product has a very interesting way of managing flows and automations.
Yeah.
And using tags to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So, what is the one thing that your ESP took months for you to discover, but once you did, you're like, oh, I just, this is holy grail stuff here.
So the one thing that it's able to do, and it took me a little while to realize that I could do it, is what I call, and I've even heard it called this before too, but when I actually got a little deeper on the topic, it made a little bit more sense. It's called interest tagging. So now what I do is anytime I share a link in any of my emails, I always talk about certain sub buckets of topics. And what I will do is anybody who clicks on said link for whatever topic might be whatever I'm promoting, I will then create an interest tag. And what I do at the end of every month is I'll either clear out all that data or just look at what it says. And the topic that is trending the most is where I either try to find a offer to promote as an affiliate for the following month or just create one on my own, because sometimes I'll get to the end of a month and be like, oh yeah, I think my my list is really into storytelling right now. So I'll be talking about it and I'll get a fair amount of clicks, but then I'll change topics the following week and talk more about like copywriting. But then I get to the end of the month and realize I had 100 clicks for storytelling, but I had 275 on copywriting. So clearly my list wants to know more about copywriting than storytelling. So it allows me to like kind of center like from my assumptions, but actually look at the data. And as long as I'm remembering to do that in every email, it makes it a lot easier because then you're never guessing, and then you're never having to send a survey either. Because I find even with surveys is when you ask people what they're into, sometimes they're just telling you what they think you want to hear, but not necessarily what they want. Because I've done surveys before and then created a product and then it bombed. But then I did interest tagging and then went according to that, and then it did better, right? And that's just something that I've been doing, and even for my own clients too, trying to figure out how to do that in their ESPs. It's been helpful.
That's very. It's heartening to hear you doing that, because that's what to do with segmentation data. Other than bomb them with more emails, you're actually coming up with product for them.
Yeah.
And not only your product, but partnerships. So,
Yes.
And these are things that people, it's not, these are things that are available to email marketing.
Yep.
As a rule, but people will go for all the shiny bells and whistles.
Yes.
So they'll do these automations that are putting people through funnels, but at the end of it, they have no idea what to do with those people.
Yeah.
Or they're like, oh, that was great. We got X, Y, and Z. This is great. Let's do it again. It is not what you're doing again. The data is going to tell you. And if you can't parse through your data, or if you didn't prepare it so that you would have some enlightening way of parsing your data, then you're just buying the newest, shiniest thing on block. And that's, these are things that some people realize, don't know how to do, want to do. Some people don't even realize. Email marketing can be very, very simple. Very simple. Like what we send a message once a week and that's it. Here's the message. Buy the product. Thank you very much. And it can be that simple. Yeah. And then you can start playing 3-dimensional chess with that. And you're playing 4-dimensional chess. So there you go.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, the point is that it can. I think I said it to somebody else the other day. I was like, sometimes you put on your galoshes and you're excited because you're getting into it. And that's as deep as it can be and as simple as it can be. Yeah. So what type of company, or perhaps a use case, is your ESP not good for?
I would say it's more geared towards solopreneurs, like solo business owners, like the guys who created it. They're 2 7-figure marketers, and it's just them on their team, and that's it, right? I've never tried to add anybody in. I know you can, but like it's designed so simplistically that I think if you had a full team, they would try to complicate it, and they probably not enjoy it, because it's like, I'm not going to say it's limited, but it's limited in the way that a team would probably want to use it. Whereas like if you're just a single online coach, consultant, solopreneur, course creator, and you just want to get in and get out, it's perfect for that. But if you have like a team where you want to add branding and just do that whole like larger company thing, it's probably not ideal for that.
So we're not, maybe an enterprise version ESP, an enterprise version solopreneur, but not an enterprise version email marketing product and an enterprise version company.
Yeah.
Nike would go nuts. So at what list size or revenue level or team size does your ESP really start to shine? So I think you might have said that it's sort of like 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, 1 or 2 people. It's easy to manage. Like I spend probably less than an hour in my ESP every week, and I send daily emails. So I pre-write all my emails, and like I'll just copy and paste them in the morning, and then just reread them one more time to just make sure like I didn't screw something up. And then I hit send, and that's maybe 5-6 minutes. That's every day. And then like if I need to build something, like my landing pages have like a templated version that I created. I could build a landing page in under 10 minutes. I can create a welcome sequence as long as I've pre-written all the emails in like 5 minutes. And that's with the scheduling, the tagging, the automations, like everything. So
When you say build a landing page, are you building it within the ESP or outside?
it's all done in the ESP. They have a simple drag and drop uh, system. And then they host it too, so you don't have to host it on your own domain. It's hosted through them, so it's as simple as like you create it, you get your link, you share it wherever you want, and then if you do want to host it separately on your own domain, you could get all the coding, and then you could even pixel it too for like if you're running ads, you could do it within the ESP without having to use your own domain too, which is interesting.
Oh, good. That's interesting. So that's also good to know because a lot of people do need landing pages, and your product is pretty simple, but it has that
Yeah.
other functionality, which is important. So I'm glad you mentioned that. So if budget was a concern, budget was no concern, would you still be using your current ESP?
I probably would, because the one thing I haven't mentioned yet, it's probably one of the more expensive ESPs to use. So
Oh.
like, yeah. So like, I think it starts at like 40-50 bucks for like 250 contacts to just get started. And my email list I've had as big as like 2,100 subscribers, and it was about 100 bucks a month at that point. The one thing that I didn't realize is that when you scrub your list and delete people off your list, is you need to update them on your contacts, because once they raise your tier for your fees, if you ever go under that amount, you need to let them know so that they can adjust your plan, because once it tiers up, it doesn't tier down automatically. And that's something for all ESPs. I've noticed, like, if you've ever had like a 5,000 person list and whatever ESP you're using, they bump your plan level at that. If you do a massive scrub 6 months later and you're down to 3,000, they're still charging you for the 5,000 contacts. You need to let them know you're not at 5,000 contacts anymore, because they don't check that automatically for you.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Let's see, what other good questions do I have that you can answer? Did you migrate from another ESP, or did you go cold into this ESP?
I just went cold to this one. I did have a email list that I was going to start in Kit, which is a very popular ESP that a lot of creators use, and I've helped a lot of clients on it. I would say it's probably one of the better ones. But I found even with that one, setting up the automations wasn't quite as simple. And like, even if you're just logging in to send an email, you're still going through like, I think it's like 7 or 8 clicks before you send an email. And I just want to get in and get out. So spending the extra money to just save time, that's worth it for me. Other than that, yeah, I just tried that one out, went, yeah, it's okay. And then I tried out Berserker Mail, realized how easy it was, and then I was like, yeah, I'm just going to use Berserker Mail.
Did is that ConvertKit?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned pricing, so that's good. We talked about that. Do you recommend Berserker to a lot of people that you work with? Do you have any reservations about that, or?
Yeah, the only thing I say is if you're okay with sending just plain text emails and that's all you're ever going to send, Berserker Mail is by far one of the best. But if you want to do any form of branding, copy paste a GIF or a meme because you want to share a joke, you can't. So if you're the kind of person that wants to do that and not make that sacrifice, you're better off with something like Kit or MailChimp or Beehive or whatever would allow you to do that. But if you want simplistic email marketing, plain text only, really quick, and save you a ton of time and agony, it's probably one of the better ones. But again, it all depends on what you want to do. For me, I wouldn't think about using another one at this point because I'm kind of married to it at this point. But yeah.
Well, migrations are always a pain in the neck.
Yeah,
Period.
I hate it.
It's always a pain in the neck. I mean, once it's done, you're like, oh, thank God I did it. But during the process, you're always. It's not so much the work; it's the what ifs. Did I? Should I? What did? What, where's my data? Do I have to pull all my data down? Did I add my unsubscribers? Should I add my unsubscribers? It's always all of these questions, and it could drive you nuts. Um,
Yeah.
and as a risk adverse email marketing person, I would be like, grab it all, folks. Pull it all down. If you're moving, it's gone. You're
Yeah.
not going to have it anymore. So if you want that data, pull it all down. Put it in a spreadsheet. Whatever you're going to do it. Do it now.
Yeah.
And that's problematic, to say the least.
Hmm.
We sort of talked about some of the things that it can't do, but are there any other limitations that you want to let folks know about Berserker that we haven't mentioned, other than the images and the brand, essentially any kind of branding,
Yeah.
image
So
branding?
I would say for it, the way it integrates with certain products, they don't integrate well with products that they haven't connected with already. So, for example, what a lot of email marketers, coaches, consultants, course creators are doing right now is they use what's called Spark Loop, which is like a referral program software that you could install on the bottom of your emails with like a referral program where you're like, hey, you're already on my email list. If you share this email with three like-minded people, and they subscribe, you will get one of my products for free, like something like that, right? And it does it for you automatically, right? So like you can grow your email list internally without spending an absorbent money on ads or anything like that, or even spending time on social media, because as long as you're writing emails people are enjoying to read, they will naturally refer people for you, especially if you're incentivizing them, right? Whereas with Berserker Mail, they don't have that function. I can't integrate with something like that. The only thing I can integrate with is like shopping carts and stuff like that, which I use Thrivecart for my cart software, because that's the other thing a lot of people don't think about when they get on an ESP is does it does it have a cart software already on it, or is that something you need to get after the fact, right?
Yeah, if your emails are strictly storytelling and there isn't any product, um, which is it sounds like, well, why would you do email marketing? Well, there are,
Yeah.
there are other ways. There are other ways to monetize. In
Yeah.
any case, then you might not be thinking of a shopping cart, but if you have product, or if there's anything transactional about your email, anything that's transactional,
Yeah.
you need to keep that in mind. How, if your if your ESP is going to be able to manage that, and the transaction maybe from your CRM, where it's data transaction, where if you're working from some CRM and it's going back and forth, you need to make sure that it can go back and forth.
Yeah.
And that's somewhat problematic, which is why some people go into CRMs that have email marketing in the back end or within the product.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Which,
Like, yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, because with Thrivecart and Berserker Mail, when I integrate the two, Thrivecart, I can build what's called a sales cart, where they also like I operate my business without even a website at this point, I'll be honest. I just post on social media. My opt-in page I build in Berserker Mail, and I share the links on my social media so people can get on my email list from there. And then all my sales pages I build in Thrivecart, because they have what's called a sales cart page, where the cart is the sales page. People just get to the bottom, and then that's one less click too, because you'll notice the less clicks you make people do to buy and do business with you, the higher your conversions, right? And then when people buy, because of the way it integrates with Berserker Mail, I have what I call a consumption sequence. So when people buy, it automatically triggers that tag in Berserker Mail and sends them through a new workflow campaign to then send them the product via email and then trigger a new sequence to help ensure that they're actually successful with it too. And all that happens automatically, and it's easy enough to do. Doesn't take me very long because it's actually quite simple.
So so this sounds pretty strong for people that are that their products are digital products.
Yes, very much so.
So that's another plus. What has changed in your ESP over time that is moving the needle one way or the other for you?
I would say nothing's really changed. They just improve um, the way it behaves, like faster loading and anything like that, because that's one of their promises when you join that ESP is that they don't they call it feature creep, because a lot of ESPs do that. Is they'll be like, hey, like that was the one thing, because at the time ConvertKit changed to Kit. That was the big thing that happened, because I was managing a list for a client still that was using ConvertKit. Kit is when they changed to Kit, they rebranded everything, changed the colors, changed where everything went, and even changed some of the ways you do certain things. And I went from going in there knowing exactly what to do to having to relearn the whole thing just because they did a rebrand. And that rebrand didn't do anything for me as an email marketer helping my client, nor did it do anything for them usability wise. It just made things, I wouldn't say more complicated, but if I'm going in there as a consumer or a client of that company and I just want to send a freaking email, if you just made my life harder, that is not a plus. And that's one of the things Berserker Mail promises, that they change nothing. And like the way it's worked for me for the last year and a half is the same way it works today. I don't have anything that's changed. The only thing that they've added is they now offer their own cart software. But it's also a subscription as well. So like not only would you be paying for the ESP, you'd be paying for the shopping cart, whereas Thrive Cart is a one-time fee. You pay it once and you have it for life.
These are important questions when you're going to an ESP, and sometimes I don't even know. The existing customer. It's not necessarily a benefit to the existing customer. The ESP perhaps will sell it to you that way, but they'll ask you, "Oh, what changes would you like to see?" And then they imply that they'll be making those changes, and sometimes they do. But if you buy into an ESP and if it's working, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like greed. You just keep expanding it. And listen, I like Klaviyo. Okay, I also like Active Campaign, but they're getting greedy where they want more markets.
Yeah,
it's like Klaviyo was a really great tool for shopping carts.
Yeah,
very, very good. And now they're like, okay, boom. And somewhat MailChimp is doing the same thing. Are they doing it differently? Perhaps. The point is, don't lose your initial customers by growing past them and then not caring about them, because now, your money is somewhere else.
Yeah, that's what happened with Kit.
That's what happened with ConvertKit? Yeah.
Yeah.
If, it was essentially authors, but, all of these ESPs, they, like any other product, they've got a niche. They go, okay, we're going to be servicing this niche.
Yeah.
And either another product comes along that's better and literally takes all of their business. I suspect ConvertKit was doing really well until the concept of Substack came along, and suddenly all of the people that had blogs and were using ConvertKit to send out the emails found Substack where, oh, you mean it does it all in one package? I don't need an ESP anymore. No. So these things happen, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you forget your audience.
Yes. Right, because
you might need to change because your audience changes, but the point of the matter is, e-commerce has not changed.
No.
It's the big, it's the big companies that they want, and so they forget about the mom and pop cheese store in Minnesota.
Yeah. Which is what made the brand in the first place, and now they're forgetting them. So
That's the point. And now these people don't have any place to go because they've just been outpriced.
yeah, exactly.
So they find another ESP that otherwise manages what they're doing, and that was. I mean, that is the way business is. Am I a capitalist? Yes. Am I in marketing? Yes. But I also have a heart. So
Yeah.
somewhere down the line, you've got to find the middle ground and service people.
Yeah.
Anything otherwise you want to say about anything? Tech stack? Any software you want to talk about?
Well, actually, you mentioned Substack, and that's something that I've implemented into my business recently, but not so much to send emails and use it as an ESP, but to use as a discovery platform, because it's one of the only, because it's moving more along the lines of being another social platform too, but it's a great discovery platform that allows you, because when people, instead of people following you like they do on social media, they subscribe. And when they subscribe, you then have permission to add them into your email autoresponder. And I find that my email list is growing at a much faster rate now that I've implemented it. I've only posted a handful of times. And like, for example, I have about 5,000 and change followers on LinkedIn. And I got about 10 subscribers this week from LinkedIn. But I have, I think, 11 subscribers that came in from Substack, so more. And I just started using Substack last week.
But you've got to have a content strategy.
Yes. And I find Substack is, and it's great because it'll send the emails, but I would say just be sure that if you're going to use something like that and also use your ESP, like an actual ESP, that you're not sending the same content out. That way you're not pissing people off that they're getting two of the same emails one day, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, Substack is yet another one of those tools that has a lot going on.
Yeah.
That people may or may not realize that there may be some strategies that they're taking for granted. They're just thinking, oh, I'll use it as a blogging platform, and that's that. But again, I mean, if you really think it through, it could be a little deeper than that if you want to.
Yeah.
So, Peter, it's been great talking with you. Now, tell me a little bit before you were doing what you're doing, and you were that award-winning. What types of vehicles, or what were you doing? I just have to find that out. You said now. Talk about it.
Yeah. I was an auto mechanic for 20 plus years. And at the time when I won that award, I was working for Honda at a dealership, and Honda Canada is one of the few manufacturers where they test their technicians, like their mechanics, just to see level wise where everybody's at. And because I had the, like basically the equivalent of what General Motors would define as a master tech. I was a platinum level Honda technician. So they have like certain tiers, like you're either like a bronze, silver, gold, platinum. And I was platinum. So I had all the training done that you could get done. So I was one of the few in my dealership that was allowed to do this competition. So the way they did it initially was they had a online exam of like 130 questions. So whoever got the most right answers in the least amount of time won for Ontario. But Ontario and Manitoba, they kind of do is like the same zone. So between the two provinces, I got the highest mark in the least amount of time for that part of Canada. And then what they did was they did the top 5 competing in person at the head office in Toronto. So what they did there was they grabbed, I think it was like 10 or 15 cars, and they bugged them. So they created problems on them that were complicated. Like if you pressed on the brake pedal, the trunk would open. like like screwed up things like that would make the average mechanic cry, right? And basically they did like a time trial. They're like, here's all the cars, all the problems. Whoever figures out the most problems, diagnose them accurately, and fix them in the least amount of time wins. And I ended up third in Canada overall. And the guy who won, which I missed being able to do it, got to compete for the international title in Japan. And that was back in 2019. And there's a whole YouTube documentary on it and all that, because they only do it like every 5 to 10 years. And I just happened to be able to make it that one time. So
That actually sounds pretty cool.
yeah, it was stressful as hell too.
I can imagine. But
Yeah.
I know you were surprised as you won through the levels. Like each time you're like, well, I mean, it'll be over soon. Oh no, I got selected again.
Yeah, it was cool.
Well, thanks so much for sharing your interesting experiences with Berserker. I think that there's a lot to be said here for specific types of professionals, and that's the point of this series.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, good luck to you and yours.
Yeah,
and
you do.
And have a good rest of your weekend, because it's Saturday.
Yeah, you do.
All right, then. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Before you